Welcome to that 80s show, and there will be no snow in Africa this Christmas, Dori. Freaking 35 degrees outside, but it's cool in here. That 80s show HQ. How are you, Dori?
I feel good, Paulo. I feel better than James Brown.
Wow. Gee whiskers, who expected that?
It's a bit of a cheat because it actually was released in 1990, but I heard it on the radio today.
1990?
1990, I know.
Whoa.
But that means they were making it in 1989.
No, I Feel Good by James Brown was released in 1990.
Yes, I double checked it because I heard it on the radio on the way here. And I thought, ooh.
You cannot believe anything you hear on the radio.
Uh-huh.
Dori?
Yeah, but it's true.
Dori, we lie a lot. And
because I think Walk the Dinosaur was 89.
Are you thinking the right song?
Where's Not Was?
Oh, not the James Brown version.
Yeah, not I Feel Good. The Where's Not Was song.
It's a very bad start to the show.
Do you want to start over?
No, it's already rolling. We can't waste the tape, Dori.
Okay, don't waste the tape.
Yeah, we record that 80 show onto cassette tapes.
Yes.
And I've only got a TDK 60 today.
And it's already stretched. We've already had to use the pen.
So if I have to, the do not record sellotape little part is fucked. So,
Yeah.
I think we're on our last tape.
Oh, dear.
So I can't be doing that. Yeah, that's actual tape degradation on that 80 show. It's very warm in Johannesburg right now, and Dori and I were talking about with the warmth comes mosquitoes, and talking about our preferred mosquito prevention methods. Repellents, that's it. Does it sound like I'm having sex with mosquitoes? No. Fuck. Just a fucking bad start. And I prefer using citronella oil, citronella spray. I don't like putting CFCs near my lymphs. And you prefer the mosquito machine.
I do, because you also have a cat, so I don't know how you manage to do citronella, because cats really hate citronella. And then they won't come near you.
No, the cat doesn't come near.
You see, my cat likes to sleep on my feet, even in the heat.
So in summer, cat stays the hell away.
Yeah.
Winter, up in our business. Summer, she finds her places. So you like the machine.
Yeah, I do.
I've always been petrified of the machine because when I was a kid, a friend of ours, one of those machines, and we understand the technology has changed, but it's got the little, in the 80s it was the little coil, remember?
Yes.
And you lit it.
Well, it was a mat.
It was a little mat.
It was a mat.
No, you got the mat later.
Okay, well,
but in the start was a little coil in the 80s and you had to burn it.
That's
Do you remember that?
Well, we've got those coils that you burn as well.
Yeah.
We use them when we sit outside.
Yeah. No, so in the 80s, in their wisdom, they decided we should put these in our room while we sleep at night. And my friends
just destroy your lungs.
Destroyed lungs, and it caught fire in his room.
Oh my goodness.
It could have been a huge tragedy.
Yeah.
Burnt like a wall hole. The biggest victim?
Yeah.
He had a Castle Grayskull. Castle Grayskull is a very different place. Castle Grayskull. This is a very bad start to a show. It just puts a whole different meaning to He-Man and Fisto. But Castle Grayskull, it melted. That story's not even so cool. Okay, so the mosquito coil melted my friend's Castle Grayskull with all of his He-Mans inside.
That's terrible.
Huge tragedy for a child.
No, that really is terrible.
He had all the He-Mans. He had everyone.
Were they melted into one big lump?
It was just, I remember, because they lived close to us.
Yeah.
And I remember going the next morning and it was just a weeping because they had melted into this. And Castle Grayskull was already like a skull thing and melty and whatever.
Yes.
It was just fucking melted into his 80s style carpets. All the He-Mans were just melted on top of each other.
Like Castle Grayskull.
Now, let's talk about Castle Grayskull. And Man-at-Arms. There's so many underlying sexual innuendo in He-Man.
Yeah.
Because there's a character called Fisto.
I do remember that.
And there's that meme goes around, I'm going to give him a good fisting.
Yes.
And literally that was, I went to go find that episode. He-Man and Prince Adam, there's a whole coming out the closet thing, very naked.
So was the writer Gay?
No, I don't think it was at all. I think it's just our perverted minds.
Oh, no. It wasn't intentional?
That's just done it that way. But anyway, so do with Castle Grayskull as you want. So the fallout of Band-Aid 40 continues.
Oh, what now?
I'll tell you what now. Not in the charts. It didn't get the top 40. It hasn't got into the top 40 yet.
You're joking.
So what
are the chances it's going to be Christmas number one?
We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that. But of course, they release Band-Aid 40, mega mix of the 3 previous Band-Aids, conveniently ignoring Band-Aid 89, which I feel we should start lobbying for. I know it's got Brass and Jason Donovan, but I feel we can't leave it alone. And they thought, well, we're going to release it. Simultaneous release on all radio stations. The video, plus a week later, the documentary releases. Hasn't made number one yet. Okay? And we're in December. We're 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How many weeks till Christmas?
Yeah.
I mean, this episode comes out on the 6th. 20 days. Well, it'll be 19 days.
19 days.
Less than 3 weeks till Christmas to get the number one. And so it hasn't got in the charts yet. But what came out this week was the documentary, the behind-the-scenes making of Band-Aid, the first one.
Yes, you sent me. I haven't watched yet.
Oh, spectacular, Dori.
I'm going to watch it.
Oh,
can't wait.
Let me tell you the things that I learned.
Tell me.
So it's not as nicely done as the We Are the World one, which was like really nicely. A lot of it involves like just incidental footage. It's really cool just seeing all of these people together in the same room, like just arriving.
Yeah.
Then shenanigans, the artistry, putting the music together, which is always great about these things. And certain artists who are there to fuck around, and certain who are there to like, if I'm doing this properly. Some of the things that I learned from it. Firstly, so many of them, like I know they were all pinups in the 80s. So many of them look so much better now. It is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Gary and Martin Kemp.
Yeah.
Like I understand Spandau Ballet were kind of the pinups of the day. I would not have put those two on my wall. Now, of course, you see a pop star today. The teeth are perfect, face, everything.
Martin Kemp definitely looked good on my number one centerfolds.
Compared to now, he's a daddy. I got a Martin Kemp shirt.
No, look, he has matured beautifully.
Gary Kemp looked like shit in the 80s.
He did.
Beautiful now.
Apologies, Gary.
Yeah.
We know you're a friend of the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely looks better now. But is that not also A, maturing, and B, just having more money?
It could have just been a look, yeah. Simon Le Bon, I mean, he's had a lot of work done. Simon Le Bon looked great then.
Also, were they not perhaps in their youth doing more drugs, drinking more? And now they're clean living.
That's true. That is very true because by and large, they've gone vegan.
Yeah.
And now they got the money. They got that $1 million a year to look after their body.
That's what I'm saying.
So great point. Great point. So some of the things that happened, Phil Collins, very angry little man. He just wanted to play the drums. And he kept the whole time, when are we going to play the drums? No, not now. When are we going to play the drums? No, we're not going to we'll do the drum. When are we going to play the drums? He had been there. He was the first one there. He wanted to play drums. Do you know, when what's his name, Bob Geldof, approached the producer, he said, listen, I want to make this song. Producer goes, listen, I need minimum 6 weeks to mix that. He goes, well, you don't have 6 weeks. You got like a couple of days. So it can't be done. Mid-year said, I can do it. I'm going to do it. And he did it in a couple of days. Right? So that was the first thing. Like just taking no for an answer, not taking no for an answer.
Wow.
Phil Collins just wanted to play drums. So the whole time he's like, are we going to do the drums now? No, we do. Are we going to do the drums now? It's great.
Like a little kid going, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
He just wanted to do the drums. There's so many nice little cutaways of all the guitarists of the bands. Like, because obviously these are things we remember the vocalists.
Yes.
But so much of behind the scenes and all the different guitarists of all the bands.
I didn't even think about the music. In my brain, it was like a backing track.
Yeah. But the guitars, and they're actually playing. And it's like, it's amazing to see all these, like the guitarists of the bands playing together.
How many guitarists did they have?
3.
Oh.
3. And there wasn't supposed to be, the Edge was supposed to play guitar, but he had a kidney infection. He got a kidney infection the day before. Kidney infection, he says in air quotes. Okay.
I mean, you don't know. Possible.
Kidney infection. And then they had to go, oh shit, who's going to play guitar? And they're kind of like, well, pick one.
John Taylor.
I say, okay, well, can all three of you? Fine, no problem. Shenanigans. So, you can imagine they've got a schedule because they've got one day, everyone's in London, one day to record this. No fucking around. So status quo, lock Spandau Ballet in the bathroom.
Okay.
Just before it's their part to sing. Then to get out, they had to kick down the door. So everyone's shitting themselves.
Did they lock them in on purpose?
Yeah, on purpose, yeah. So they waited for them to go to the bathroom.
Weren't they like older? Should they not have known better?
Shenanigans, drug-fueled shenanigans,
yeah,
Dori.
well, status quo, definitely.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So lols, you have a lol when you see that. Boy George running very late. He only arrived, he was the last.
He had to do his makeup.
No, he was booked on a flight and he missed his flight.
Oh, no.
And then he arrived way after everyone else to do his bit. Because even in the music video, he's not in the main group shots. And then he decided, oh, you know what I need to soothe my throat? A bottle of brandy, which he just drank. Just drank a bottle of brandy before
Really?
he did his bit. Bananarama. Now, at this point, Bananarama, they're not mega, but they've released Cruel Summer. Mm-hmm. Cruel Summer was
Robert De Niro?
Not yet.
Not yet.
That came next.
Okay.
But I mean, Cruel Summer was a number one in the USA.
Yeah.
Like these little girls, like number one in the USA.
That was huge. That was big here, I remember.
It was on the Karate Kid soundtrack. Like they were huge. Everyone arrives in these town cars. Now nobody's got like massive SUVs and those those Vitos and they're arriving like Jaguars and like everyone's arriving. They're arriving. Mm-hmm. Like bands. The Duran, each member arrives in his own car.
Right.
No one's worrying about carbon footprint there, right? Everyone's arriving. Bananarama arrived the three of them in the back of a City Golf.
That's so perfect, sir.
Right.
That's
And
so
not even
perfect.
like a clapped up City Golf. It's like you're number one in America and you've just arrived in a City Golf, which I thought was hilarious. Bono. I'm going to stick up for Bono. He didn't want to sing his line.
Oh, the line?
The line.
The line.
The line. He didn't want to sing it.
Good for him. He
says,
knew.
Yeah, he said, listen, this song is super. He was uncomfortable with the lyric. And he said it's insensitive and offensive. And him and
my
Geldof,
God.
they have an argument about it. Because he says it makes me sound, he's like, it's got this air of moral superiority, which it does.
It does.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't want to sing this.
Even though I am morally superior to everyone else on earth.
But at the time, maybe this was the
beginning.
The villain moment.
Yes.
We became,
This was when he got bitten by the radioactive
Exactly.
lyrics.
that felt good. I am morally superior. Maybe this was the moment.
I am indeed
Yes.
Bono, the Bono.
I am inevitable. That was his moment, right? They had an argument, and Geldof insisted that it was pivotal to the song's message, and it's about gratitude and call to action. And Bono just went, listen, if that's what you want, and that's what these people need, that's what I'll do. So he did it
I feel so much
duress.
better knowing
Hey?
that he knew and wasn't happy with it. Bono, I forgive you. It's been many years. It's been 40 years.
I remind you
40 years.
of the time they released an iPod.
Oh, okay.
Preloaded.
I only forgive you for Band-Aid.
I remind you of that time that you could not. I don't give a shit. I love you too. I love it.
I like some of this stuff. I love Achtung Baby. It's a great album.
I love you too. But I'm going to leave the last bit with George Michael.
Oh.
So now, listen, a lot of people were there just because they had to be there. Marilyn, still, no further insights on Marilyn for me. Madeline.
Yeah,
Marilyn?
Marilyn.
Marilyn.
Marilyn was big in the UK.
Still no further
Marilyn was
insight.
often in number one magazine. That's how I judge.
Still Timu Boy George. Still no further insight on Marilyn, right?
Where was Kevin Rosdale? That's the question.
That's the question. In a bush? Maybe. He was in bush at the time. Maybe. I don't know.
Not at the time,
Not
but
at the
yes.
time. Right. Here's the thing about Bush. Okay. Anyway, do that with you. Now, George Michael. Now, here's another fun fact. George Michael had shot the video for Last Christmas. He had arrived back the day before they went to go do They Know It's Christmas.
I think I remember that from Andrew's book. Yes.
So now you think about the professionalism of the guy because he goes, fuck, I've just...
And they must have been so hungover because they were really
partying.
drinking.
They were partying.
Really partying for that video.
They were partying. But he goes, I've just created my number one, my Christmas number one, and now I got to do this. And that's for charity. I cannot beat charity. Now imagine like what he had to put his like own ego aside to go, shit. You know what I mean? Like
If he had known that would have taken away from his Christmas number one, would he have felt differently?
But he did know. He did know. In Andrew Ridgeley's book, he says that.
Oh, okay.
He said, yeah, he says this is he says this is number one. Like guaranteed. You can't beat a charity single. You can't beat a supergroup. Right?
Yeah.
So imagine the ego that you have to push down to go, it's for charities for bigger than me. But now he wants to
But
make.
did George have an ego?
No, well, Dori. So, I said to you, there's artists, there's people make it better. So in the We Are the World, Michael Jackson, you can see why he was the genius he is because of how he scrutinized over the smallest little thing. Okay? Here's George Michael. Now, George Michael sings for 10 seconds, 3 lines on Do They Know It's Christmas. Do you know that? That's all he sings.
And then
By himself.
when they also, yes, by
Yeah.
himself, yes.
That's all he sings.
Okay.
3 lines, 10 seconds. Okay? When he first gets it, the way they've written it for him, he tries it because he's George Michael, he's professional, he doesn't want to upset anybody. But then he makes a suggestion. And here's the clip that's in the documentary. For everyone's listening pleasure, here is George Michael preparing, rehearsing, and then perfecting his bit.
But say a prayer, pray for the other ones at Christmas time. That actual line itself, the "but say a prayer," is hard for me to sing powerfully. If you wanted to kind of change the notation a little bit, so it started off a bit higher or something. But say a prayer. I could do that if you want.
That sounds great. That's great.
Yeah. But say a prayer, pray for the other ones at Christmas time. It's hard.
One note. Because you right in the beginning, you hear how flat it is.
Yeah.
And then he just goes, no, if you want me, this is how I'm going to do it. But it's so polite. And the thing that blows you away, he was not a classically trained singer.
I know.
Not a classically trained musician. It just was in him. Fucking phenomenal.
They were not going to argue with him, though, were they?
Well, he made it better.
I mean, Midge's a good singer and all, but,
I'm friggin' George Michael.
you know.
I'm the songbird of my generation. We asked last week, we often talk about the royalties. Okay, but let's address, firstly, I want to address now, we are safely in December. Dickheads out there are playing Whamageddon. If you're a dickhead playing Whamageddon, you're a dickhead. And you shouldn't be listening to the show. And we don't want your negativity around here. If you're a good person, you don't know what Whamageddon is, but basically there are cretins out there in this world of ours where we're just all trying to get along, honestly.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's trying to put us against each other. We're just trying to get along. We just want to be good people. But there are terrible people out there who try to go as long as they can in December without hearing Last Christmas.
Right.
Okay? And it's a game. This is a game, right? So we were aghast. We've covered it years ago, but we have to bring it up every time of year. This time of year. And I mean, by now, I'm full on Last Christmas, full into rotation. 2-3 times a day.
Uh-huh. Oh, so you are playing it on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you got to hear it in the wild first.
Yes.
And then you got to go to clicks or disco.
Okay.
Yeah. Retro, all these radio stations. But now it's on my rotation.
Okay.
So we often talk about this. We go, where does the money for Last Christmas go?
Yeah.
Okay, who gets the royalties? So the royalties actually go to Ethiopian famine relief, still to this day. And it generates, and this sounds like a very low number, but £300,000 in royalties.
From Last Christmas?
Yeah. That doesn't sound right. This is what I'm finding online, but that doesn't sound right.
Okay.
£300,000 a year in royalties. That's not a lot of money.
We're not talking about, do they know it's Christmas?
No. Last Christmas.
Last Christmas.
Because he donated the proceeds.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I don't know.
Doesn't sound like a lot,
I don't know
but-
if every year. I don't know if every year, but a portion does.
Okay.
So
I mean, with the exchange rate, that's not a small amount of money.
no, but not what I'd expect. Okay. But last year, of course, is the first time it goes number one. This is the 40th anniversary of it, released in 1984.
Yeah.
This Christmas is 40 years. Last year, for the first time, I went to number one. But of course, the race is on now because you know it's probably not going to be Band-Aid. Last Christmas, in the past week, 6 million streams in the past week of Last Christmas.
Ooh.
Okay. it currently has more streams than the song that is number one. I don't know what number one is.
Yeah.
I've never heard of the song.
We need the chart savant to help us with that.
But Last Christmas got more streams last week. So it's climbing up those charts.
I will jump on that and help.
Now we ask, of course, it's Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas, she's climbing, but she's on 5 million streams. So close behind. But there's a dark horse in the race this year, Dori. Because, of course, All I Want for Christmas has been number one a couple of times. Last Christmas has been number one. There's another Christmas song from the 80s that has never been number one. Even in the 80s, never been. But it's last 2 years, it's popped up and kind of going, ooh, this could be a threat. The Pogues. 4 million streams in the past week.
Ooh.
There's a bit of a dark horse there, Dori. People are liking that song.
I mean, part of me thinks that would be cool because it's just so...
A left field.
Exactly.
So unlike the others.
opposite of Ed Sheeran.
Exactly.
Yes.
Ed Sheeran's shitting the bed because I want to see Ed Sheeran and Elton John, how they doing. But I think because Ed Sheeran's a knob. Well, not a knob. He's just saying he's polarizing.
He's a Grinch.
Yeah. Listen, I love the song, by the way. But...
Speaking of Elton John.
Well, I'm going to get to that.
Are we getting there?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. You haven't seen the running order. Now there's he. So I checked that, and people are not into Ed Sheeran this year. But I'm telling you, the Pogues.
Yeah, that I would be okay with that.
I mean, for Last Christmas to number one on its 40th anniversary, or there's going to be a late rally by Do They Know It's Christmas? But I don't think this. I think this mega mix will shit the bed. I think the mega mix killed it. I think if they had re-released the first one, then you're winning.
Because did you notice the comments on YouTube? Most of them, the original's still the best. The original,
exactly.
the original. Yeah.
Love the original. Yay for 84, 89, second best. Love the original. Jeez, I wish Bros was in the original. It'd be the best song ever. These are the things that people were saying.
Were they?
Watch the Pogues. But of course, who can't watch the Pogues? Okay, Elton John. It's not permanent though. But he did say this week, he was at the premiere of The Devil Wears Prada musical, of course he was, that he's lost his eyesight due to an infection. Listen, this was such a clickbait headline.
Yes.
Because I saw it, Elton John loses vision.
I know.
I was like, what? Shit, fuck, no. I was like, oh, no.
Like, well, I mean, we kill him off every year, but this might be it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a very bad eye infection. He's lost sight in one eye. Unlikely to be permanent.
Jeez, guys, can we all calm down?
He explained that while he couldn't see the performance of The Devil Wears Prada, which is not a bad thing, he still enjoyed hearing it. John also acknowledged that his sight recovery is slow and has affected his ability to create new music, but it is reported to not be permanent.
Yeah. So I was talking to one of my colleagues about this because he was like, but he's not that old. And I'm like, yeah, but he took all the drugs. Doesn't matter that he's not that old.
How old is he in drug years?
Exactly. 93,000.
Yeah. You can't exactly double it, but I think you got to add a good 15 years on.
Literally 20, in his 90s in drug years.
Yeah. How old are you in drug years? So that's pretty good. Yeah, so that's why I felt it was okay to make the jokes that I did.
Otherwise we would not, even though we kill him off every year.
Probably would have made it. Imagine getting sued by Elton John for making jokes. Like, I mean, is there such a thing as bad publicity? I mean, geez, the little podcast got sued by Elton John. Oh, fuck. Yes, I'll take it. I'll take it. So every week we love to do... Oh, no, wait. Before we get into that, I see on the floor here.
Yes.
Dori mentioned, of course, it was her birthday. And he was on the show last week, Noel Opperman. I hope you've been on his website. I
still have to go and buy things.
I have to buy so many things. And he was so excited last week, but he had made a gift for you for your birthday. It's for both of us, but he said it's yours. We can share it.
Okay.
But it was primarily for your birthday, and we're going to unbox it, basically.
Live unboxing.
Live unboxing.
Just call us YouTubers.
Yes.
On the show. So I don't know if you can hear the crinkle paper.
Oh, this is some ASMR here. Stroking Freddie Mercury's chest hair. That's what it sounds like.
I feel a bottle. It's rather heavy. I'm going to pull it out. Wow. I know what this is.
Yeah.
Scarp Choppy Tequila, straight out of Pretoria, with a picture of the Voortrekker Monument.
Remember when...
Cactus Jack Premium Distilled agave.
Remember when we were at the Pretoria Retro
Yes.
Fair? He was giving those
He was
weird
giving
shots.
us shots. And I was like, I don't usually like tequila, but this was delicious.
And that's the tequila that goes with it. There's a
Yes.
whole...
Because it was called, I can't remember what it was called.
So there's
now.
a card in there that explains everything.
Okay, hold on. Let me just stand up. Gebrek aanwysings. Instructions. User instructions. But I'm going to read. So it's the instructions on how to make. So it says here, scarp choppy sauce, 1 drop per eye. And soon you'll be able to fluke fluently. This is amazing. Because it is Dori's birthday, she's not allowed to say no to a choppy. Unless she wants to say no, in which case she's allowed to say no because it is her birthday. And Gen Xers are allowed to do whatever they want on their birthdays. I love it.
Get yourself onto retrofair.co.za. Buy yourself some stuff. That's the attention to detail.
I kind of want one of these right now.
Pour it up. Let's do the rest of the show like chops. So we got movie recommendations every week. Dori does not have a movie recommendation this week. For that, I think she should have a shot. But she's got a podcast that she wants to talk to us about.
And I think it's worthwhile. You know exactly what I'm talking about because I mentioned it, not on the show, but I mentioned it to you last week. And I know you don't like it when I listen to other podcasts, but for this, I know you'll make an exception.
I don't like when you listen to other 80s podcasts whose format is almost identical to ours.
Exactly. So this is not that. But our good friend Benji Moody.
Oh, yes, Dori. Okay. I want to hear about this.
You do.
Yes,
Our good friend Benji Moody does a podcast called From the Hip, where he interviews a variety.
Which is a great name for I think it really understands the majority of audience who are going to be listening to his show.
From the hip replacements.
Yes, take a bone from the hip for it somewhere else. From the hip replacements, yes.
I also like it because From the Hip is a title of a Lloyd Cole song. You know, Lloyd Cole's one of my favorites. So
Benji Moody, if you don't know, is like supreme record label guy, right?
like legend in the South African music scene.
Did he have a radio show?
Yes, he did.
I'm sure he had a radio show.
I feel like he did one on Mix, maybe.
But like all the really hot South African artists of the 80s, 70s and 80s, like he found them, managed them, signed them.
Literally like made them who they were. So he's been doing this podcast where he's interviewing a bunch of different artists. I haven't listened to every episode, I'll be honest, but the ones I have listened to have been incredible. And then I saw a couple of weeks ago that he had done one called All Things Shifty, where he had interviewed Lloyd Ross and Warwick Sony. Now, these two guys were a very big part of my youth. When I got to university in the early 1990s, I discovered this. I don't know how I didn't know about them, but so there was this little independent record company called Shifty Music.
Yeah.
And they had been responsible for a lot of the independent, alternative South African music that had come out, especially during the 80s.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that was not government approved, that was political, that was, you could call it musical activism in South Africa.
Like, I mean, to contextualize that, and you may get to it, I mean, the apartheid government regulated everything and would listen and edit songs to make sure there were no hidden messages. And like any country, like what South Africa was then, music is a huge part of activism.
Yes.
And kind of the underground movement. So to have the balls to be like an kind of counterculture but have a political message is hugely gutsy.
Yeah.
Hugely.
So when I was at university, I was very involved with Voice of It's the campus radio, and my friend Orly and I, we used to do a show of South African music specifically, and we used to go to Shifty Music, to their offices, and get stuff to play, like CDs to play on the show. But it's more also about the stuff, the history of it. They were very, very integral to the whole alternative Afrikaans thing. If anyone remembers Johannes Kerkorrel, Full Frey, that kind of stuff. This podcast is so amazing. First of all, the guys are funny. They really are. I mean, especially if you know them, because I kind of know both of them. I actually knew Warwick a little bit better because I used to see him regularly.
Yeah.
They've both moved down to the coast now. The stories they told on this on this interview was so fascinating about how they had a mobile studio because a lot of what they're doing was, a bit risky.
Yeah.
They would take this
Gotta move quickly.
Yeah, they had a mobile studio and they would go to where the musicians were. They had a long extension cable. They would run the extension cable to the nearest electricity point and record these guys where they were. If you have any interest in like the older South African music, you've got to listen to this episode.
So I love From the Hip. I think Benji is, what's great about all the people he gets on is that there's a lot of inside stories and inside jokes, which they make, but you never feel left out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the reason I didn't get onto this one is because I don't have that connection to Shifty Records like you do.
Yeah.
And I felt, it's just a little bit past me. But I did want to get to it. I'm so glad you brought it up because I know that was very much your scene. And to kind of have your stamp on it, to go that whatever they're saying is authentic, I like goes, okay, I'm listening to it on the way home. Yeah. That's kind of like what I'm doing today.
You don't have to have been in the scene.
Okay.
Or even be, because I promise you, they play clips of some of the songs and you will go, oh my God, I know this.
Right.
I promise you.
That's amazing stuff. So it's From the Hip.
Yeah.
And know the guys who produce it, world-class production. Benji's fantastic. And it's just all as an easy listen. Yeah. It's like literally what a good podcast should be. Just like I'm eavesdropping on two friends talking shit. Yeah. And reminiscing.
Well, this is the thing. Benji is friends with everybody. I know. He knows everybody. It really is that.
I think the last one we recommended was when he did with Mark Alex.
Yes. So good.
That was
so good.
That's intellectual. Me?
Are we swinging the pendulum right now?
Dori, I'm in a space now where I'm so fascinated by it, and I'm starting to think that I'm becoming a little bit of a savant on shitnima, as I'm going to call it. I'll think of a better name. This was recommended to us by Noel Opperman last week, a movie called Saturn 3. So he brings up this movie. He goes, a movie with Kirk Douglas, Farrah Fawcett, and a horny robot. I was like, well, fucking stop
how have
there.
I not watched this?
What are you talking about? Don't you guys know it?
No.
I was like, please God, let this be made in the 80s so I can talk about 1980 this movie was made.
Brilliant.
Kirk Douglas, Farrah Fawcett, and Harvey Keitel.
Oh, wow.
Now, Kirk Douglas was superstar by then. I mean, he was one of the guys. It was freaking Spartacus, right? Farrah Fawcett, okay, she never became a huge movie star, but she was...
beautiful.
Harvey Keitel wasn't... He had been in Taxi Driver.
Yes.
But he wasn't 90s
Mean
Harvey
Streets?
Keitel. Mean Streets?
Yes.
I mean, Harvey Keitel finds his own in the 90s.
Absolutely.
Reservoir Dogs, Pulp
Quentin
Fiction.
Tarantino revived
Exactly,
him.
right?
Yeah.
So he wasn't nobody, but he wasn't... He's still friggin' Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
With a ponytail. Before I forget to mention anything else about this, Harvey Keitel has this amazing ponytail. So this movie, it's called Saturn 3. Is it right? So there's a space station near Saturn, and Farrah Fawcett and Kirk Douglas are scientists. They're living in space and they're overseeing this project where Earth is now, spoiler alert, in the end they go back to Earth. Okay, but they've been in space for years. Okay. People can't live on Earth. It's become uninhabitable, can't grow food, nothing. But you don't know if people aren't living on Earth, if everyone's living in space until they figure out how to grow plants, whatever. Farrah Fawcett and Kirk Douglas, their mission is, their job is to grow plants, vegetables, seemingly weed, and that's what they do, right? All with the intention to go back to Earth, right? Harvey Keitel plays a guy called Benson, and he shows up.
Just shows up?
On Saturn 3, which is the name of their space base. Okay. Right? And
by himself?
By himself. But there was a proper mission to go to them to give them a message, but Harvey Keitel kills the astronaut that's supposed to go to them.
Oh, okay. Just getting very practical for a second. How long would it take to get... Was he coming from Earth?
No, everyone lives in space now.
Okay,
we're way in the future.
Yeah, okay.
We're like...
Because, just the thought, it's ridiculously long to even get to Mars. So
Yeah,
to think to get to Saturn.
No,
we're not coming from here.
No,
Okay.
but we're way in the future.
Yeah.
Like space travel's easy.
Yeah.
Everyone's living in space bases. Like so, yeah. So
Okay.
don't worry.
I won't worry about the practicalities.
Yeah. We're way in the future. Like you just get in a zoom, like you're going to the store.
Okay.
You can go from Saturn to Neptune. Zoom,
Right.
like that. Okay. And so Harvey Keitel kills the astronaut that's supposed to come. Here's a funny thing about this movie is that the first director of this movie was involved with Star Wars, right?
Okay.
And my God, does he steal so much from Star Wars? There are so many space scenes that look exactly like Star Wars. The good astronauts wear these white helmets. The bad astronauts, even though stormtroopers were bad, there's astronauts with helmets that look very stormtroopery, and then Harvey Keitel's helmet looks very Darth Vader-y. Okay?
Come on. Okay.
Another great thing about this movie, why these shit movies happen, is because they changed directors halfway through. So they started with, he wasn't the director of Star Wars, but he was a production designer, and then he didn't like the movie. They fired him and got the guy who directed Singing in the Rain to finish off the movie.
Wow.
That's why I love it, because there's just so many big people involved.
Yeah.
So Harvey Keitel arrives, but I don't know, he speaks weird. He's definitely a human.
Ponytail.
He's got a ponytail, and he's, for some reason, wants to take out the space station. It's never said why, and he wants to bang Farrah Fawcett.
Well, you don't have to say why for that.
Exactly. You don't need to know why. But he also has a robot. Okay? He's going to build a robot called Hector. And spelled Hector, not like cool robot.
Hektra.
Hektra, humanoid, extra capacity, terrestrial android. Nothing like that. Hector. Hector is a piece of shit looking robot. Hector is the worst robot I've ever fucking seen in my life. He's got a robotic androidish type of body,
Okay.
which is a lot of wires, but his head is like if Johnny Five had his head shrunk by the head shrinker in Beetlejuice.
Oh, no.
Okay, on top of the big robot body.
I'm Googling it.
And worse than that, he moves slow as balls. He's supposed to be murderous, but he's so slow. If Hector started chasing you, all you'd have to do is run as fast as you can to the other side of the spaceship, lock the door. When he gets there, run around the room, lock him in. Hector done. What's
the point of a slow robot?
He's so slow. But what makes Hector operate? Harvey Keitel develops brain tissue, in this long tube, looking like the world's worst candy floss. And this brain is synthesized from Harvey Keitel's character's brain that allows him to imprint his brain and his thoughts into Hector. Now, because Harvey Keitel wants to bang Farrah Fawcett, Hector wants to bang Farrah Fawcett.
Oh, I don't like where this is going.
Problem, Hector doesn't have a penis. Okay?
And he has a small head.
Tiny head. Tiny head.
This is such a weird looking robot, honestly.
He's terrible looking.
It's very weird.
Now, let me tell you about what Hector arrives. Now, Kirk Douglas at this time is 65. Farrah Fawcett's 33. They're in relationships where who knows what people's yums are this far in the future.
Exactly.
Hector arrives with blue pills for Kirk Douglas's character.
No
shit.
No way.
He's got blue pills for him.
Was this before Viagra?
Yes.
So do you think Viagra copied this?
Nobody saw this movie, Doris. No one.
That does happen. Science fiction becomes science fact.
So he drugs them, but it's like some weird LSD sort of drug.
Okay.
And then there is this fucking weird scene. I'm going to put so many scenes of this movie up on that 80 Show SF Facebook page where Farrah Fawcett and Kirk Douglas are pretending they're fucking tripping.
Okay.
Like, Kirk Douglas is definitely drawing from experience. Farrah Fawcett, I can't believe the era she grew up in that she didn't take drugs, but she looks like she's never been intoxicated by anything in her life.
But Kirk Douglas really was not clean living.
No, and he drew from experience.
Yes.
He was method.
Okay.
He was like, no, I know what to do here. Okay.
Yeah.
They acting like all fucked. Farrah Fawcett's wearing this like little white dress. Kirk Douglas goes and pours the juice. Turns around, Farrah Fawcett is wearing the worst bondage outfit I've ever seen in my life. Even for Farrah Fawcett, it does nothing for you.
Okay.
Because Farrah Fawcett is under there. That thing looks terrible. Okay? Then they bonk. Now, I don't know if this drug was supposed to knock out Kirk Douglas or Harvey Keitel, Hector, whatever the fucking symbiosis is going on between them.
Yes.
Harvey Keitel now attacks a very naked Kirk Douglas, who fights with Harvey Keitel nude as shit. One of the reasons the director left the movie is Kirk Douglas wanted to do a shitload of scenes in the nude with Farrah Fawcett.
Right.
Right? And the director and Farrah Fawcett's agent would say, fuck no.
Yeah.
We don't need to do that. His words were, I will tell people what I want to do. She's just a TV actress.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow, an asshole.
Right. So very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you go, okay, well, if she's not going to get nude, I'm going to get nude. There is a nude Farrah Fawcett scene. Look for that yourself. Of course, you got to have it. It's the 80s, it's Farrah Fawcett. You got to have her nude.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kirk Douglas, he's nude. He wrestles Harvey Keitel. You see his balls.
Wow.
You see from whence Michael came. Okay.
The origin of Michael.
Yes. Greed is good. Old man balls are bad. And Harvey Keitel gets killed. But he's not dead because he lives in Hector.
Yes.
Hector now, he goes after Farrah Fawcett. The only other living creature on the space station they're on is Farrah Fawcett's dog. Farrah Fawcett rejects him, kills the dog, rips its head off. They fucking show it.
Oh, shit.
It's very grim. Very grim. Then there's a whole chase scene. Farrah Fawcett, Kirk Douglas trying to get away from Hector. He's super slow. It's very boring. It's about 30 minutes of the two of them chasing up and down, chasing up and down, chasing up and down. Eventually, Kirk Douglas gets overpowered. And they inject the same thing that Kirk Douglas becomes their slave. And Farrah Fawcett's now working for Hector. Right? So the whole thing gets mazy. Kirk Douglas is then able to break the spell of Hector's whatever he's put in his head long enough
Yeah.
to actually kill Hector, but he has to kill himself to kill Hector. So they had made this plan when they're trying to trap him to push him into the septic tank of the spaceship, but Hector outsmarted them.
Okay.
But now Kirk Douglas, for just long enough, he sees that Hector's now finally going to do bad things to Farrah Fawcett, attacks Hector, pushes him in the septic tank, but with himself as well, and they both melt. What the fuck? These people were shitting. It melts them, but they both melt.
Space acid.
Space
Okay.
food. You know, they eat those pastes for years. You don't know what that's doing to you.
Yeah.
Plus the drugs.
Yeah.
Plus the drugs they took. So anyway, now Kirk Douglas, ultimate sacrifice, did it for Farrah Fawcett.
So now she's alone.
Killed her. No, but what he said to her, he obviously came from Earth. She was born in space. Mm-hmm. She had never been to Earth.
Yeah.
And his dream for her was to go to Earth.
Yeah.
And then we fade to black, and then now she's on another spaceship. She's had a fucking perm at this point. She has the biggest ass perm you've ever seen in your life.
She deserved it after everything she went through.
Did. I mean, getting attacked, like, you don't want to be attacked by like a robot with no penis. Like, it's threatening, but like how threatening? Maybe his penis is somewhere else. Nobody knows the shit. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's like a porpoise. You don't know where it is. Okay? And the final scene, they say, condolences about your old ass creepy boyfriend with the old balls. Yeah. Then she turns around and she says, no, but he got what he wanted. And she looks down upon Earth. And all the spaceships now going back to Earth to go repopulate it.
Oh.
And not repopulate it, that's gross.
Yeah.
Re-inhabit it.
Re-inhabited, yes.
And that is Saturn 3. Surprisingly, there was never a Saturn 4.
Was there Saturn 1 and 2?
One must ask. Never mentioned. And that is it. And it's spectacular. Farrah Fawcett is beautiful. Kirk Douglas is weird as shit. Creepy as hell when you're behind the scenes. That is such a bonkers goddamn movie that should have known better. It is on YouTube.
Okay.
With all the extended scenes.
And all the nudity.
Nudity. You know what? You're going to watch. I'm going to say there's a movie that stars Kirk Douglas and Farrah Fawcett. There's a fair amount of nudity. And it's not Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah.
Got
it.
Here's another fun thing about it. Harvey Keitel, if you ever do watch it, when Harvey Keitel talks, you go, that's not Harvey Keitel's voice. They redubbed the entire
Oh my
movie.
God. Why?
Every Harvey Keitel line. Because the first director thought, you don't sound like a man from space. You sound like you're from Brooklyn. There's no space in Brooklyn. And then they wanted him to come back and do his scenes, and he went, you know what? I'm not a big actor yet. This movie's going to be a piece of shit that's going to ruin my career. I'm out. Get someone else to do it. And that's what they did. They got a Harvey Keitel.
Oh God!
They
Now I'm
dubbed him out.
really keen to watch it. Like that. That was the cherry on top for me.
You see from the trailer straight away, and Harvey Keitel talks. You're fuck. That is not him.
Yeah.
That's not Harvey Keitel. So Saturn 3.
Wow.
Good movie.
What a treat.
Good movie. I came across a blog. Of course, we got to get into some Back to the Future. We always do on that 80s show. Got to talk about Back to the Future. Came across a blog called Brent and Michael Are Going Places, titled I Hate Many Things About Back to the Future. Ooh. And these
The
are
original?
Yeah. These are the things he hates about Back to the Future. He finds it bothersome that Michael J. Fox doesn't look anything like his family.
What a weird thing
What
to
a weird
worry
thing to
about.
hate. That's every movie. And I think he does.
He definitely could easily be their kid.
Because Crispin Glover obviously plays the older Marty McFly, and they
There's enough of a resemblance.
that's weird, right?
And especially him and
Leah Thompson,
there's enough of a resemblance.
right?
Absolutely.
It also bothers him when Marty goes back in time. Most of the major characters are played by actors who aren't even remotely convincing as teenagers. But isn't that every movie ever?
From the 80s especially.
I mean, Billy Zane's in it. He's one of the thugs.
Yeah.
He's one of the backers. He's part of Biff's gang.
Yeah.
But no movie to this day do teenagers look like teenagers.
I mean, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. They did not look like teenagers. None of them.
The Breakfast Club. Judd Nelson did not look like he's in high school.
No. The only one who did was probably Anthony Michael Hall.
Only one. Finds it bothersome that the movie tries way too hard to make Marty cool. Because he's got a skateboard, he plays a guitar, and a beautiful girlfriend. It's like, but that was also, again, the 80s. It's like, right, we got a kid, we got to make him look authentic. Give him a skateboard. Done. Kids have skateboards. Have we just been desensitized to this movie?
What would they have preferred? That he
Didn't have a skateboard?
couldn't play guitar,
But that was his whole thing.
doesn't have a girlfriend.
It misses the point of being a teenager or looking up to teenagers in the 80s, because I wasn't a teenager yet in the 80s. But for me, a teenager, you got to have, he wore Nikes.
Yeah.
You got to have Nikes. You got a skateboard and you're playing, I mean, shit, how much cooler can you be? You're Bill and Ted together.
Yeah, I think these are really petty concerns, I have to say.
He didn't like Crispin Glover's performance, but as we've heard over the years, no one liked his performance. Crispin Glover didn't even like his own performance in Back to the Future.
He was fine.
He was fine.
Yeah.
It's only when you look at it within hindsight, when you hear about all the shit with it, you go, yeah, it didn't really bother me. I mean, he was perfectly fine in it. And here's a really pedantic thing. That the lightning bolt strikes the clock at exactly 4 minutes past 10. Why not at 4 minutes past 10 and 18 seconds? Why does it strike so specifically? So because then would Doc Brown's plan fail if it struck by less than a second? Right? It doesn't even make sense.
No.
This is a very pedantic blog. Look, he does go on to say all the things that are great about Back to the Future, that it is probably one of the classic American all-time movies. And then it talks about all the things that they got right. But I just thought, there are a lot more things that you could get wrong in this. The Iranian terrorists, for example. The casual gameplay with nuclear weapons.
The whole thing with the time on the clock, like, that's just a really unnecessary detail that if it had been in the movie, would have just been clunky.
Exactly. Do you really have to think that deep about it?
Yeah.
Also, in Back to the Future news this week, Robert Zemeckis once again has said, I will not make a Back to the Future 4, even though he keeps getting asked about it. He was on a podcast this week, and they said to him, and he says, never Back to the Future 4. He says, I get checked in every couple of months. Someone asks, so would you? No, I'm not doing it.
I don't understand why, because it's not like Back to the Future 3 needs something to come after it.
Well, that's what he said. He said they wrapped it up so perfect, because Back to the Future 3 ends up in exactly the starting point that we're going to end up back in Back to the Future 1. It's perfectly encapsulated.
Yeah, no, don't mess with it.
They came
you
to
can't
the-
have
they-
Back to the Future without Michael J. Fox. Simple as that.
Well, in the same article, Michael J. Fox goes, "Do what you want with it. I've been paid. Like I've made my money."
But you can't.
It's
You
yours.
can't.
You can't. Christopher Lloyd is the only one that always seems to like he's keen to revive it. But
Maybe he needs some money in his old age.
listen, you can't do it without. Okay, Michael J. Fox will never be Marty. He's not going to be young again, despite all his challenges. You will have to have something with him. If Robert Zemeckis isn't going to, Robert Zemeckis does say he would love to direct the Back to the Future musical, the Broadway play.
Yes.
So he'd love to do that. But again, I just don't feel Back to the Future. Learn from Band-Aid.
Can we learn from Band-Aid?
What can we take from Band-Aid? And when you think about it, and Band-Aid, maybe the new Band-Aid flops, and all you can do is they're going to say, thank God it's them instead of you.
Exactly.
Doing remakes that make no money.
Exactly.
When we want to talk about, of course, when you talk about Back to the Future, you're talking about the DeLorean, which is, the iconic vehicle. I think there is another vehicle in Back to the Future that we sleep on, Marty McFly's black truck.
Ah, yes.
If you think about it, he drives this monster black pickup truck. It is a 1985 Toyota Extra Cab. Now, Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, such a tiny little guy in that big truck. And
You see, now that I would have understood as like, why is such a tiny little guy riding this big truck?
when he goes back into the garage at the end of Back to the Future 1, is that there's a gift.
Yes, because they were rich.
Yes, they came back rich, yes. And then Biff is cleaning it. He's polishing it. That's when he realizes everything's fucked up.
So I guess it was an important part of the storyline, actually.
Yeah, but right? It's so key to it. And it's just, and it's an awesome truck.
Yeah.
People,
They obviously needed a symbol.
yeah.
Something that symbolizes he is not who he was.
I got a, Playmobil, the fake Lego.
Yeah.
The other Lego. I got a DeLorean, but they've also released a set with this truck.
Ah, okay.
So they recognized how key it was. But let's not sleep on the Toyota Extra Cab. Finally, I'm going to finish up on something on that 80 Show SA Facebook page. Ted Danson, he's back in a new show.
I'm very keen because it's the same people who made The Good Place, which is one of the best shows ever. If you haven't watched The Good Place, watch it.
So a lot of people say that it's got to be great because I didn't like The Good Place.
Really?
I don't know. There was something just...
Did you not stick with it?
No, I started it, but my wife carried on. She'd enjoyed it. I was like, no, there's something about
Did you get to the thing, which we won't spoil it for anyone? Did you get to the twist?
Probably, and I didn't find it that interesting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's back in a show about all those people, and he's a private investigator in an old age home or something.
Something like that.
Obviously, he's been doing all the press stuff, talking about it, and he revealed the one celebrity that people keep confusing him for as his celebrity doppelganger.
Okay.
Which celebrity from the 80s do you think he keeps getting confused with?
I would have probably said Kevin Costner.
Okay.
Because maybe there's a vague resemblance, but not even, because no one looks like Ted Danson. He's quite unique looking.
So he says the first time he got confused with this other 80s celebrity, also a sitcom star at the time, they probably had the two biggest sitcoms on TV at the time in the 80s. The first time it happened to me, I was in New York, and a bunch of construction workers, I walk by and they go, hey, actor's name. And I don't look around because my name's Ted. And they said, hey, actor's name. What are you, too good for us now? So he joked and he's ignored them, which had a bad impact on the actor who they thought he was looking at. He also shared that he once signed an autograph with this other actor's name. And the person was like, what are you doing here? Why are you messing around? The actor that he kept getting confused with was Tony Danza.
That's ridiculous.
Now,
Because they've got the same initials?
I didn't even think about that. Look at them in the 80s. I don't think people are going to think that deep. Do they even look the same?
No.
In the 80s? Now,
No.
Ted Danson now, we think of him as like super Silver Fox-ish.
Yeah, look, they do look very different now, but they didn't look that similar in the 80s either.
I mean, of course, he was on Cheers and Who's the Boss was Tony Danza.
Tony Danza's whole thing was like the Italian guy.
That's it.
That's not Ted Danson at all. That's very weird.
I mean, Kevin Costner is a good one. I would never have thought at all ever confusing them. Even the characters were totally different.
Yeah.
Although they were like rough and tumble guys.
Honestly, I think it's the initials in the name, which is so stupid.
No, you know what? I'm going to blame 80s technology.
Really?
You know, we sit on these days with the prism of 4K. We're spoiled now.
Ah.
Remember what TV looked like in the 80s, especially if you had like a bit of an older TV from
With a bunny aerial that you couldn't get right.
You know what I'm saying?
Huh.
Like if you're watching, you don't have the best reception. You know, not everyone had glasses. Only old people had glasses then. Mm-hmm. You know,
those of us with young, we had those very big fisheye type
what
glasses.
could anybody really see through those?
Yeah.
So I'm going to blame 80s TV sets. You know, the ones that took 30 minutes to warm up.
Yeah.
And then 30 minutes when you switch it off. Ooh. You know?
And then if you touched it, you got a shock.
Fucking shocked across the room.
Yep.
That you could mistaken Ted Danson and Tony Danza. You know? Big hair, big 80s style hair. You know? Let's blame the technology.
Okay.
Let's not blame people from the 80s. There's a lot more things to blame them for. You know. This has been that 80s show. Everything we spoke about on today's show. Farrah Fawcett and Kirk Douglas nudity together. They nude together at one point. Disappointing.
As Kirk insisted.
She was just a TV star. She never went on and got bigger than a TV star.
She didn't, actually.
You know? Great loss.
Her and Leather Hocklear.
Yeah, Leather Hocklear. You know, we started bad. I think we picked it up and we're ending bad. Thanks for sticking around.
I didn't even drink the tequila.
Shit. Maybe you should put this whole show behind us. Favorite part of the show today, Dori?
Oh, opening the gift, the unboxing of my wonderful gift. Thank you again, Noel.
Do you think audio unboxings work?
No,
I
don't care.
Yeah, it was the ASMR thing. I think kind of could have played on that. Everything we spoke about today can be found at 80 Show SA on Facebook. Go stream Last Christmas. And and you can stream the Pogues. But every time you stream the Pogues, stream Last Christmas twice.
Exactly.
That's the Christmas rule. Mm-hmm. Okay?
That's our game.
You can listen to the Pogues, stream Last Christmas twice just to make up for it. Mm-hmm. That's fair. Thanks for joining me, Dori. Goodbye.
Bye.